The first thing that told me something was wrong was the welcome mat. For 6 months, I had walked past apartment 3C every day. The mat always sat straight, lined up with the edge of the door. Today it was crooked, half folded over, like someone had dragged a suitcase across it and never fixed it. Most people would not notice that. But my whole life is straight lines and level edges. I am a Finnish carpenter. I build cabinets that sit flush against old, uneven walls. I make sure doors close smooth, not tight. If something is off by even a quarter inch, I feel it like a stone in my shoe. I stopped in the hallway, toolbox in my right hand. The old building in Seattle was quiet. Usually, around this time, I could hear music from inside 3. C. Claire Bennett liked old pop songs and podcasts about cooking. Today, there was nothing. Just the buzz of the hall light and the faint sound of rain outside. The air felt wrong, too. Heavy. Waiting. I shifted my grip on the toolbox. It was not my business. I was the guy who lived in 3B, who fixed broken cabinet doors for the landlord when something fell apart. I gave Claire a nod in the hall, carried her grocery bags once, changed a light bulb in her kitchen. We were friendly, not close. Then I heard the crash. It was a hard sound, deep and dull, not glass. Something big hit something solid. Right after came a sharp cry that died off fast, like someone bit it back. My body moved before my brain did. I set the toolbox down on the hallway floor and crossed the space to 3C in 3 long steps. I knocked once, hard. "Claire?" I called. My voice echoed in the narrow hallway. "I'm fine," she answered too fast. Her voice sounded tight and breathless. "Everything is fine, Ethan. Don't come in." That was not the voice of someone who was fine. I put my ear close to the door and listened. There was a soft groan, wood moving, a small scrape. The hairs on my arm stood up. "What fell?" I asked. "A shelf," she said. "Just a shelf. I've got it. Please don't open the door." Her words said one thing. The strain in her voice said something else. I pictured one of those cheap bookcases tipping over and pinning her to the wall. My chest tightened. I tried the handle. Locked. "Claire, open up," I said. "I can't," she gasped. "If I move, this whole thing comes down. There is glass everywhere." I exhaled once, slow and sharp. "Okay," I said. "Then I am opening it." I pulled my key ring from my back pocket. The landlord had given me a master key when I rewired the basement last year. "For emergencies," he had said. This felt like one. I slid the key into the lock and turned it. "Do not move," I called. I pushed the door open. The smell hit me first. Coffee, vanilla candle, and something sharp like fear. The lights were on. For half a second, the place looked normal. A small, bright living room. A blue couch with a knitted throw. Plants in every corner. A white shelf against the far wall. Then the shelf shifted. Claire was under it, her back pressed against the white wood, arms braced. The whole thing leaned forward, its top edge inches from her head. Dozens of picture frames and small potted plants clung to it, shaking. She looked ridiculous and brave at the same time. Hair in a messy bun, old college t-shirt, black leggings, bare feet pressed into the rug. Her face was red with effort. A smear of dirt ran across one cheek. "Don't come closer," she panted. "I have it, kind of." "No, you do not," I said. I dropped my center of gravity and crossed the room in 2 strides. I planted my hands on the sides of the shelf above her shoulders and took the weight. The wood dug into my palms. It was solid, not cheap, and heavy with all her stuff. The strain moved off her and into me. My muscles lit up, but this was good work. Work I knew. "On 3, I said, voice low and steady. "You step out. I push it back." "It will fall," she said. "Ethan, I swear, if my mom's wedding photos smash, I will actually die." "It will not fall," I told her. "I've got it. Trust me." She tipped her head back and met my eyes. Up close, her brown eyes were darker than I had ever noticed in the hallway. They searched my face like they were looking for proof. I did not smile. I just held the shelf and did not shake. 1, I said. 2, 3. She slid out from under the wood fast, ducking low. As soon as she cleared, I drove my weight forward, pressing the shelf back against the wall. It groaned, the screws in the top brackets scraping against weak drywall, but it held when I shoved it hard into place. "Stay back," I said. "I am so far back," she said from somewhere near the kitchen. "I am in another zip code." My arms burned. I shifted one hand, found the metal brackets at the top, and saw the problem. Tiny wall anchors, the kind that came in cheap kits, stuck partway out of the plaster. Of course, the landlord again. "Ethan?" Claire's voice floated in. "Are you going to die? Please say no. I cannot explain that to anyone." "I am not going to die," I said. "But your shelf almost did." "Can I help?" she asked. "Yeah. Clear everything off the bottom 2 levels," I said. "Then bring me my drill. It's in the red toolbox in the hall, top tray." She moved fast, footsteps light on the rug. I heard picture frames clink, small pots rustle. A moment later, she appeared at my side, staying low like we were in some kind of weird war, and the shelf was the enemy. She slid the drill into my hand. Her fingers brushed my knuckles. Her hand was small and warm. For a second, she was too close, and I could feel her breath near my arm. I pushed the thought away and focused. I leaned the shelf just enough to find the studs with my knuckles. 3 solid knocks told me where they were. Good bones. I drove long screws through the bracket into the studs, one after another, the drill whirring in the quiet room. Each one pulled the shelf tight against the wall. When I finished, I stepped back and tested it. Rock solid. "It is not going anywhere now," I said. Claire let out a long breath and slumped against the back of the couch. "I almost died under a bookshelf," she said. "That would have been such an embarrassing ghost story." I looked at her then, really looked. Her hair was coming loose, strands falling around her face. There was a streak of dust along her neck. Her eyes were bright and wet at the edges, not from pain, but from something else. "Are you hurt?" I asked. She shook her head. "Only my pride." I picked up a broken frame from the floor. A photo of her with 2 older people smiled up at me. They looked like the kind of parents who sent long emails and had opinions about everything. "Your mom and dad?" I asked. She winced. "Yeah, about that." I set the photo on the coffee table and turned back to her. "What happened?" I asked. "And do not say just a shelf." She stared at the now stable unit like it had insulted her. Then she laughed once, sharp. "Everything happened," she said. "The shelf falling is just the funny part." I waited. Silence never bothered me. I could stand in a room and let someone talk when they were ready. She paced a small line between the couch and the window, rubbing her thumb against her palm. "They called this morning," she said at last. "My parents. They live in Texas. They said they are coming to visit, like actually getting on a plane, landing here, walking into this apartment visit." Quote, "That sounds normal," I said. "For normal people, yes," she said. "But my parents do surprise inspections on my life. They ask about my job, my bank account, my retirement plan, and then they ask the question." "What question?" I asked. "Are you seeing anyone, Claire?" She said it in a high, careful voice that I guessed was her mother. Then she dropped back into her own tired tone. "They think I am broken because I am 35 and single," she said. "My sister is married with a big house in the suburbs. They keep asking when I am going to catch up. So when they called, and they asked, I panicked." I felt something low in my chest tighten. I knew panic lies. I had told a few in my life. "What did you say?" I asked. She stopped pacing, turned. Her eyes met mine. "I told them I am dating someone," she said quietly. "Someone solid. Someone who lives in the building and helps out. Someone who makes me feel safe." My heart thumped once, hard. "You made up a boyfriend," I said. Her mouth twisted. "I did not exactly make him up." I frowned. "What does that mean?" She swallowed. Her gaze dropped to the tool belt at my waist, the sawdust on my gray t-shirt, then back up to my face. "It means," she said, stepping closer. They are flying in tomorrow for 4 days, and they want to meet him. Meet who? I asked, even though part of me already knew. She took a breath like she was jumping into cold water. The guy the first told them about, she said. The guy who lives across the hall and fixes things when they break. The guy who is always on time and never makes a mess. She looked up at me, eyes wide and scared and hopeful all at once. You, she said. For a second I thought I heard her wrong. Me, I said. She nodded. You. I laughed once, a short sound that did not feel like a joke. Claire, that is not a small thing. You cannot just point at your neighbor and say, "Hey, this one is my boyfriend." Her face crumpled. Not all the way, just around the eyes. I know it is crazy, she said. I know, but they already think I am a mess. I just wanted them to stop talking to me like I am one bad week from moving back into my old bedroom. Quote. She stepped closer, hands twisting in front of her. When my mom asked, I panicked. I said, yes, I am dating someone. It just came out. She got so happy. Then she asked what he does. I said he works with his hands. She asked where he lives. I said in my building. Then she asked his name, and I looked at your door, and I said Ethan. Hearing my name like that, in a story where I had not agreed to be, did something to my chest. So right now, she finished, my parents are at home in Texas, thinking I finally found a good guy who takes care of me and fixes broken stuff and does not play games. They are getting on a plane in less than 24 hours, and there is no boyfriend, unless you say yes. I opened my mouth to say no, I should have. It was the smart move. This was a lie that needed a cast of 2. Lies like that do not hold up. I like solid work, clean lines, clean stories. No wobble. Instead, what came out was, why me? Her eyebrows pulled together. What? You could have said you were dating someone at work, I said. Or some guy who lives across town, someone they could not meet. Why did you pick the man who lives 10 feet away? She looked up at me like I was missing something obvious. Because you are the one who is here, she said. When the sink broke last month, you came in 10 minutes. When the power went out on my side of the hall, you had a lamp in your hand before I even found my phone. When my car would not start in the snow, you were under the hood in 5. You are steady, Ethan. That is what I told them. Steady. The word sank into me like a screw into a stud. I do not know how to be a fake anything, I said. Her mouth lifted at one corner. So be real, she said softly. Just for a weekend. Be the real you, but in my story. I ran a hand over the back of my neck. My skin felt hot. I have rules, I said. Her eyes went wide. There are rules. If I do this, I said, and her shoulders jumped at the word if, we do it right. No easy lies that fall apart when your dad asks detail. We get our story straight. We agree how long we have been dating, where we met, what we like. I am not going to stand in front of your parents and try to remember what you said on the phone. She nodded fast, like she was afraid I might change my mind if she stopped. Yes, okay, rules. Great, hit me. First rule, I said, no changing the story halfway. Second, if they ask something we did not plan, we tell the truth and bend it a little, not the other way around. Third, I get to look at anything about this landlord if they bring up the lease. If I am playing the solid boyfriend, I am going to act like it. She blinked. You want to read lease papers? I want to know who is trying to push you out of the place you built, I said. If they are using small, cheap pieces like those wall anchors, I want to see it. Her face softened in a way that made my chest tight. You will do it, she whispered. You will really do it. I looked at the now straight shelf, then at her, then at the hallway that led back to my quiet, empty apartment. Yeah, I said slowly. I will. Relief washed over her so fast she had to sit down on the edge of the couch. She dropped her head into her hands for a second, then looked back up at me with a shaky laugh. I cannot believe I talked you into this, she said. You did not, I said. The landlord did, and your parents, a little. She smiled. It was small but real. Thank you, she said. Really? I nodded once, then checked my watch. Okay, how long have we been together? She chewed her lip. 3 months? Quote. Too short, I said. Your mom will say you moved too fast. 6 months, she repeated. Okay, we met. In the stairwell, I said. You tripped on the 3rd step. It squeaks. I fixed it. You brought me cookies as a thank you. That is cute, she said, eyes lighting up. I like that. We had coffee in my kitchen, and you told me about your work. And I did not understand half of it, but I pretended. You understood enough, I said. You know I like wood that does not lie. She laughed again. Easier this time. We spent the next half hour filling in our story. First date at the diner on the corner. Her favorite color was blue. Mine was dark green. She hated scary movies. I hated crowded bars. Small things. True enough to remember. When I left her apartment, the shelf was secure, and our fake history was set. The real problem was the way my pulse had not slowed down since she said my name on the phone in front of her parents. The next day, things moved faster than planned. I was in the basement workshop, sanding the edge of a maple shelf, when my phone buzzed. A text from Claire. They are here early. Help. My stomach dropped. I checked the time. 2:15. They were not supposed to land until 4. I looked down at myself. Old jeans, gray t-shirt with a streak of stain across the chest, sawdust on my arms. I thought about changing. Then I thought about what she had told them. A man who works with his hands. Someone real. I wiped my hands on a clean rag and went upstairs. I heard them before I saw them. A woman's voice in the shop on the ground floor. It is cute, she was saying. Very small. Uptown is nicer. Are you sure it is safe here? Mom, Claire said, that same tight tone I heard through the door yesterday. It is fine. The building is old, not unsafe. And that stain on the ceiling, the woman asked? It looks like water damage. It was, Claire said. Ethan checked it. It is fixed. My hand tightened on the stair rail when I heard my name. I stepped through the open door into the shop. Claire stood behind the counter, shoulders stiff, hair pulled into a neat ponytail now. She wore a soft green sweater that made her eyes look brighter. In front of her were 2 people who matched the photo I had seen on the floor. Her mother was small and sharp. Gold earrings, neat hair, beige coat that looked expensive. Her father was tall and broad, with a deep tan and a polo shirt tucked into his jeans. He looked like he played golf and liked winning. All 3 turned when I walked in. Claire's eyes met mine. For a second, all the tight lines in her face loosened. She looked like a drowning person who had finally seen land. Hey, I said, keeping my voice calm. The back roof is holding. No more leaks. It was not true or false. It was just something a guy who watches over a building would say. Mom, Dad, Claire said quickly. This is Ethan, the one I told you about. I set my shoulders and stepped closer, wiping my palm on my jeans before I held out my hand. Ethan Cole, I said. Nice to meet you. Her dad took my hand. His grip was strong, testing. I met it and held it. Tom Bennett, he said. So you are the boyfriend. The word hung between us like a test weight on a beam. I felt Claire tense behind the counter. I kept my gaze steady on him. For the first time, I said it out loud, to someone who had no idea we built it yesterday. Yes, sir, I said. I am the someone. Tom's grip tightened for a second like he was checking if I would pull away. I did not. His mouth twitched. Firm handshake, he said. At least she did not pick a musician. Dad, Claire muttered. Her mother stepped forward. I am Lisa, she said. So you are the famous Ethan. I have heard that name a lot on the phone. That surprised me. I glanced at Claire. Her cheeks turned pink. Nice to finally meet you both, I said. Welcome to Seattle. Quote. Lisa's eyes swept over me, taking in the sawdust on my shirt, the tool belt hanging from my hip. You came straight from work, she observed. That is authentic. I was downstairs in the workshop, I said. Claire texted. I figured she would rather have me real than polished. At that, Claire's shoulders moved in a small shake that looked almost like a laugh. We were just about to go check into the hotel, Lisa said. Then we will all go to dinner. There is a seafood place on the water Claire was telling us about. You will join us, yes? Claire jumped in fast. "Mom, Ethan probably has work and he is covered in sawdust and—" "I would like to," I said. 3 heads turned to me. "I can be ready in 20 minutes, I added. I looked at Claire. "If that works for you." Something soft flickered across her face. "Yeah," she said, "that works." "Good," Lisa said, satisfied. "We will pick you up in the lobby at 6. They turned toward the door. I reached out and touched Claire's arm, just above her wrist. It was a light touch, but she went still. "I will lock up for you," I said quietly. "You show them around." She looked from my hand to my face. I could see the swirl of panic and relief in her eyes. "Thank you," she said. Tom watched us walk to the door together. I did not drop her arm until they stepped into the hall. It was a small thing, but I saw Lisa's eyebrow lift at the contact. Score 1 for the story. 20 minutes later, I was in my apartment, standing in front of the bathroom mirror. The man looking back at me wore a clean, dark blue button-up shirt and jeans without holes. My hair was still damp from the fastest shower of my life. I smelled like soap and sawdust, which was not a bad mix. I thought about what Tom would see. No degree on the wall, no tie, no shiny car key on the counter. Just a small, neat place with solid furniture and a guy who built it. "Steady," I said under my breath. "Just be steady." At 6 sharp, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Claire. The sight of her hit me harder than I expected. She wore a simple black dress that stopped just above her knees, with a green scarf at her neck that matched her eyes. Her hair was down, waves brushing her shoulders. She looked softer than the stressed woman from the shop, but there was still a tightness at the line of her mouth. "You clean up nice," she said. "So do you," I said. My voice came out lower than usual. "You okay?" "No," she said honestly. "But you are here, so that is helping." She reached for my arm as we walked down the hall. The move was casual, like she had done it 100 times. Her hand curled around my bicep. It felt natural in a way that made me a little nervous. We met her parents in the lobby and drove to the restaurant together. The place sat on the edge of the water, all glass walls and soft lighting. A server led us to a table by the window, where the gray bay stretched out under a low sky. As soon as we sat, Tom opened the menu and ordered wine without asking. Lisa fussed with her napkin. Claire sat beside me, close enough that our shoulders brushed. "So, Ethan," Tom said once the menus were down, "what exactly do you do besides fix leaky ceilings in this old building?" "I build custom furniture," I said. "Tables, shelves, built-ins, mostly for private homes, some shops and offices. The building work is part trade for my workshop space." "No college degree?" he asked. "No, sir," I said. "Learned from my grandfather. He was a carpenter. I picked up power tools before I learned how to drive." Tom said. "And that pays the bills?" "It does," I said. "Takes time, but people pay for good work." Lisa leaned forward. "Do you have a 5-year plan?" she asked. "My husband always tells our girls to think 5 years ahead." "Lisa," Claire hissed. "It is a fair question," Tom said. I took a breath. 5 years from now," I said slowly, "I want to have my own shop front instead of just the basement. I want to be booked out for months because people know if they order something from me, it will last longer than they do. I want to have enough work that I can pick projects I care about." Lisa seemed pleased by that. Tom, too, a little. "And what about you and Claire?" Lisa asked, eyes sharp now. "Where do you see that in 5 years?" I felt Claire go rigid beside me. Under the table, her hand searched blindly and landed on my knee. Her fingers gripped hard. I put my own hand over hers. "Well," I said, and turned to look at her. Her face was pale, eyes wide. I softened my voice. "We only made it official 6 months ago. I am not going to stand here and give you a wedding date. That would be dishonest. But I can tell you how I move." Tom raised an eyebrow. "How you move?" "I do not start something I do not plan to finish," I said. "Not jobs and not relationships. If I am here, it is because I see a future. I would not be sitting at this table if I was just passing time." Claire's hand loosened under mine. She let out a breath I do not think she knew she was holding. Lisa studied me. "You sound very sure for someone so new," she said. "I am sure of myself," I said. "Claire and I are still learning each other. But what you can count on is that I do not disappear when something gets hard. That is how I was raised." Tom nodded once. "Actions talk," he said. "So far, I see a lot of talking." "Dad," Claire snapped, heat in her voice. "It is okay," I said to her before the fight could start. I looked back at Tom. "You are right. Words are cheap. So I will show you something instead." He frowned. "What is that supposed to mean?" "It means there is a real problem we can solve," I said, "right now, with this building. Claire told me your landlord is hinting at a lease change. I have seen the way he cuts corners. If he thinks he can push her out or raise her rent for bad work, he is wrong. I can prove it. If you have questions about whether I take care of her, watch how I handle that." The table went quiet. The server came and went without anyone noticing. Tom sat back. "He sent a notice this morning," he said slowly. "Said there would be an inspection. Said the wiring might not pass." Sounded like trouble. "Then let me handle it," I said. "If I cannot, you can tell her to pack up and go home. Fair enough?" He studied me for a long moment. "Fine," he said at last. "I will give you the weekend." Quote. After that, the questions softened. Lisa asked about how we met. Claire jumped in now, telling the stairwell story we had rehearsed, adding little details that made it sound almost too real. She talked about how I brought her a plant after she was sick. That had actually happened. I just had not thought of it as romantic at the time. Under the table, her hand stayed on my knee. At first, I thought it was just part of the act, but she did not move it, even when the conversation drifted away from us. Every few minutes, her thumb brushed small circles against the denim of my jeans. Each one felt like a small truth. By the time dessert came, the tight knot in my stomach had loosened. Tom still watched me like a man measuring a cut, but he was less sharp. Lisa laughed at a story about a client I told. Claire's shoulders finally dropped an inch. When we walked out of the restaurant into the cool night air, the wind coming off the water smelled like salt and rain. Claire slipped her arm through mine again as we crossed the parking lot. Behind us, her parents walked a few steps back. "You did great," she whispered. "I almost believed we were real." "We are real," I said without thinking. "The label is the only thing that is fake." She went quiet at that. Tom caught my arm just as we reached the car. "A word," he said. Claire looked worried. I gave her a small nod and followed him a few steps away. He folded his arms. "I do not hate you," he said, "which is a good sign." "Thank you," I said. "But I am not convinced," he continued. "My daughter has a habit of picking causes. Stray dogs, stray people, projects. You look like a man who fixes things. I do not want her trying to fix you." I met his eyes. "I am not broken," I said, "just not polished the way you might have pictured." "Maybe," he said. "Either way, let me be very clear. She is 35. She wants a life, not a story. If you are playing along because you feel sorry for her or because you think this is some kind of fun drama, stop now. Let her go. She has a home she can come back to." I thought of Claire pacing her living room, talking about pity in her parents' voices. "I know she does," I said, "but she also has a life here. She is not a project. She is a person who built something from nothing and is scared to lose it. I am not doing this for fun. I am in it because I want to see her keep what she built." Tom watched me for another long beat, then he nodded once. "Tomorrow," he said, "when this landlord shows up, I will be there. I will see how you handle it. That will tell me more than any speech at dinner." He turned toward the car. Before he could take a step, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw a new message from the landlord. "Mark. Change of plans. City inspector coming Thursday at 9. If shop fails, commercial lease is done." My heart kicked hard against my ribs. Tom saw my face change. "Problem?" he asked. I looked at the screen, then at him, then back at Claire by the car, her scarf blowing in the wind as she watched us. "Yeah," I said. "Big one." And for the first time, the fake boyfriend story felt less like a game and more like a deadline hanging over both our lives. I did not sleep much that night. When we got back from the restaurant, Claire walked me to my door. Her parents rode the elevator up to their hotel room, still whispering about inspections and lease law. "Thank you," she said quietly in the dim hall. The old light flickered above us. "For all of that." "You are welcome," I said. "Tomorrow we start on the wiring. If Mark wants to bring an inspector, we will be ready." She bit her lip. "You do not have to work through the night for me." "I know," I said. "I am doing it anyway." Something moved across her face, soft and warm. For a second, she leaned in like she might hug me. Then she stopped herself and wrapped her arms around her own waist instead. "Good night, Ethan," she said. "Good night, Claire." I spent the next 2 days between the crawl space, the back room of the shop, and my truck. The building's bones were better than I expected, but some of the old wiring was bad. I ran new conduit, replaced outlets near the sink with proper GFCI, and labeled the panel so clearly a kid could read it. Claire showed up every few hours with coffee or water or something in a paper bag. "You need to eat," she said once, standing in the doorway while I crouched near an outlet. "I ate yesterday," I said. "Ha," she said flatly. "Bite the sandwich, Cole." I took it from her hand. Our fingers brushed. She did not pull away quickly this time. Her parents came by the shop twice. Lisa tried to rearrange a display. Tom asked questions about what I was doing in the back room. I answered each one straight. No fake confidence. Just the steps, the facts, the plan. On Wednesday night, I was standing on a ladder in the back, stapling up the last stretch of cable, when I heard the door open. I expected Claire. Instead, it was Tom. He stepped into the room, taking in the open junction boxes and neat runs of wire. "You pulled all of this in 2 days?" he asked. "Some of it was already here," I said. "Just not safe. This is better." He watched me as I climbed down the ladder. "You work hard," he said. "I try to do it right," I answered. He rubbed his jaw. "When I was your age, I thought people without suits on were lazy or unambitious. I have been watching you. I was wrong." I did not know what to say to that, so I just nodded. He cleared his throat. "If this passes tomorrow, she stays," he said. "If it does not, I am asking her to come home. I will not watch my daughter drown in someone else's bad investment." "I understand," I said. "Then you should hope I wired it well." He huffed out a small laugh. "That is what scares me. I think you did." Thursday morning came fast. The shop felt different when I walked in at 8:30. Claire was already there, standing behind the counter, straightening stems that did not need straightening. Her parents sat on the small bench near the door. Lisa gripped her coffee cup like a life preserver. Tom checked his watch twice in 5 minutes. "You okay?" I asked Claire. "No," she said, "but you are here, so I am pretending." Mark arrived at 8:55 in a dark coat that did not fit right, and an expression that said he expected to win. The inspector came right after him, a guy named Morales I had seen on another job once. "Morning," Morales said, flipping open a clipboard. "This, the space with the questionable wiring?" "The space with the new wiring," I said. "Back room, I will walk you through it." We went into the back. I showed him the panel, the new breakers, the gauge of the wire. He checked every outlet, tested the GFCI, checked the lights and the emergency exit sign. He climbed the small ladder and checked the ceiling junction box I had reworked at midnight. The only sounds in the room were his tester beeping and my heart pounding. After 20 minutes, he snapped his tester shut. "This is clean work," he said. "Better than most of what I see in these old places. Pass." The word rang in my head like a hammer on metal. "Pass," he repeated for Mark, writing it on his form. "You can renew the commercial lease. If anything, you should have this guy fix the rest of your building. Half your issues would go away." Mark's face twisted for a second, then smoothed out. "Fine," he said. "I will have the renewal drawn up by tomorrow." "In writing," I said, "with the terms we talked about, no mystery fees." He glared at me. 3% increase, 12-month term, option to renew, that is it. And you replace the roof over the stairs this summer, I added. You know it is bad. If you do not, Morales will be back for that next. Morales raised an eyebrow. He is not wrong, he said. I saw the soft spots on my way up. Mark threw up his hands. Fine. He stormed out of the room. Morales gave me a small nod, then followed. When we stepped back into the shop, Claire's eyes went straight to my face. Well? She asked. Pass, I said. She made a noise I had never heard from her before, half laugh, half sob. Then she ran around the counter and straight into me. The impact pushed me back a step. I caught her automatically, arms going around her waist. She buried her face in my chest and held on like I was the only solid thing in the room. You did it, she said against my shirt. We did it, I corrected. Her parents stood watching. Lisa's eyes were shiny. Tom's mouth was set, but there was something proud in the lines. After a minute, Claire pulled herself together and stepped back, cheeks red, eyes bright. Sorry, she said. Do not be, I said. You earned that hug. Tom cleared his throat. So the shop stays, he said. Yes, Claire said. The shop stays. And you? Lisa asked gently. What are you going to do? Claire looked at them, then at me, then back at them again. I need to tell you the truth, she said. My chest tightened. This was the part one had tried not to think about. The part where the story cracked. Mom, Dad, she said, voice steady now. When I told you on the phone that I was dating someone, that was a lie. Lisa's hand flew to her mouth. What do you mean? She whispered. I panicked, Claire said. You asked that question the way you always do, like there is something wrong with me because I am alone. I did not want to hear that again, so I told you what I thought you wanted. I said there was a man. I said he lived in the building and helped with things and made me feel safe. Then I looked at Ethan's door and used his name. Claire, Tom said, voice low with warning. She held up a hand. But here is the thing, she went on. I was not completely lying. He does live here, he does help me. He does make me feel safe. I just had not actually asked him if he wanted to be my boyfriend when I told you he was. Lisa looked from her to me and back again, confused. So all of this, she said slowly, the dinner, the stories, the hand-holding. The feelings were real, Claire said. The label was not. She took a breath and turned to face me fully. And I am tired of pretending, she said. The shop went quiet. Even the small cooler in the corner seemed to hold its breath. I dragged you into this without asking, she said to me. You did not owe me anything. You could have told them I was lying and walked away. Instead, you rebuilt half the back room and stood between me and a landlord who sees me as a line on a spreadsheet. You worked through the night so this place could stay open. You made my dad listen. You did more than any fake boyfriend would have done. Quote. Her eyes were wet now. So were mine almost. I do not want a fake boyfriend, Ethan, she said softly. I want you, the real you, the one who cares about straight lines and safe wiring and people who try. I know I started this on a lie, and I am sorry. But if you tell me no now, I will accept it. I will still be grateful. I will still stay. This shop is my life, but if there is even a small chance that this could be real. She swallowed. Will you take it with me? I forgot for a moment that her parents were there, that the landlord existed, that the city was outside. All I saw was a woman standing in the middle of her dream, asking me if I wanted to be part of it. I stepped closer until there was only a foot between us. When you told your parents you were dating someone, I said, voice low, you said he was solid. You said he showed up. You said he helped when things broke. I shook my head. You did not trap me with that, Claire. You described the kind of man I want to be. Her lips trembled. My parents are visiting, she said in a small voice, like she was replaying it in her head. I told them I am dating someone. I reached out and took her hand. Am I the someone? I asked. A tear slid down her cheek. She laughed as she wiped it away. Yes, she said, you are the someone. I did not look at her parents. I did not look at the door. I just leaned in. Kissing her in that moment did not feel like crossing a line. It felt like opening a door that had been waiting for a key. Her hand slid up my chest to my shoulder. She rose on her toes. The world narrowed to the warmth of her mouth and the way she exhaled like she had been holding that breath for years. When we finally pulled apart, I heard Lisa sniff. Tom cleared his throat loudly. "Well," he said, "at least now the story matches the reality." Lisa walked over and hugged Claire, then me. To my surprise, Tom held out his hand again. "I do not hand out approval easily," he said, "but you earned some of it this week." I shook his hand. "I am not perfect," I said. "I am not rich. I am not fancy. But I am steady, and I am in this." "I can live with that," he said. They left for the airport an hour later. We stood outside the shop and watched their taxi pull away. The rain had finally stopped. The sidewalk was wet, shining in the weak sun. Claire stood beside me, hands in her coat pockets. "I did not think they would leave me here," she said. "They did not leave you," I said. "They let you stay." She turned her head, studying my face like it was a blueprint she was trying to read. "So," she said softly, "we are really doing this. No pretending, no scripts." "No pretending," I agreed, "but I might still bring you plants when you are sick." She smiled. It was the kind that reached her eyes and settled there like it planned to stay. "Deal," she said. I reached for her hand. She slid her fingers between mine, like they had always belonged there. Buildings can survive a lot if the foundation is good. You can patch cracks and fix leaks if the base is solid. Lies are like bad anchors in weak drywall. They hold for a while, then rip out under pressure. What we had now was not perfect. It was new. It was honest. It was two people who had seen each other under strain and decided to stay anyway. That was more than a story. That was something I could build on.